Reverend Lee Wallach. We're here each and every day at 8 o'clock for your viewing and listening pleasure. We come together to question, to explore life, to look at thoughts, and how can thoughts change your life? Here's the interesting thing. Everything begins with a thought. There's nothing that hasn't begun with a thought. Even the ancient scriptures talked about everything begins with a thought. And so I just assume that it's true because as I demonstrate in my life, I realize, oh, I had that thought process. Oh, wait, that was my unconscious thought process. You see, we can have both unconscious and conscious thought processes, and they both work the same way. They both create. So what I thought I'd talk about today, and it's one of my favorite topics, it's the whole idea that we really, if we're anywhere near thinking intelligently, we realize that everything's in balance. It has to be in balance, otherwise everything would be destroyed. So if we understand everything's in balance, why do we fall to the illusion that we can have a one-sided life? Why do we fall into the illusion that I can be happy all the time, that I can be at peace all the time, that the world will be at peace, the full world will be in total peace? How do we fall into that illusion? Think about this. From the perspective that I come from, I believe that consciousness is everything, and consciousness is everywhere. Everywhere. But in order to have experience in life, there has to be duality, right? And so if consciousness is infinite, then consciousness is going to be expressing in infinite ways. It's never going to be expressing the same way. It's going to be expressing in infinite ways. In fact, consciousness, individualized, doesn't express the same in any 2 points within itself anywhere in the cosmos. Because if it is infinite, why would it create a duplicate of anything? And I think we can look at the earth and we can understand that, because why? There's nothing that is exactly the same anywhere on the planet. No 2 human beings, no 2 blades of grass, no 2 grains of sand. There is nothing that is identical. There's not even pure identical twins. There's always differences. You know, you can tell the difference between them. You can, it may be subtle, but there is a difference. Now think about it. If you can see a subtle difference, what kind of difference is there at the cellular level where there's 50 to 100 trillion cells involved? Just interesting stuff. It's just interesting stuff. So I realize that one of the hardest things that we do with our egos, with our bodies, is to really see the balance in every situation. We have been so domesticated from the time we have been born to believe certain things that our parents taught us, that our religions have taught us, that society teaches us, the schools have taught us, the corporations taught us, our families have taught us, our friends have taught us. We have really been domesticated. You want to talk about Pavlov's dog? Just look in the mirror and realize, what have you been domesticated into? That's really a great question to ask. So I'm going to ask you, those of you that are listening right now, those of you who have checked in, and if you haven't checked in, please check in. This way I know who's out there. What is the one thing you really know that you've been domesticated into believing about yourself or about life? Have you been domesticated into believing that relationships are hard? Have you been domesticated into believing that money doesn't grow on trees? Have you been domesticated into believing that as you age, your body has to deteriorate? What have you been domesticated into? I could go on and on and on and on and on, because here's what I understand. And notice that I'm saying, oh, there's one, life isn't fair. Here's what I can tell you about life. And it's part of the topic from today, Shariel. Life is always in balance. Fair is a perspective. Keep that in mind. Everything that we put a label on is just a perspective. That's a fascinating thing, because everything we do, everything we talk about, is basically we form an opinion. We start to believe that opinion, and we think that opinion is the truth. It's not the truth. It may be true for us because we believe it, but it's not a truth that everyone can see. and everyone would believe in. And then you can take that down the rabbit hole, and truth, I don't know what you can call as truth. I have no idea. I keep going down that rabbit hole, going down that rabbit hole, going down that rabbit hole. And boy, everything is a perception within me. Everything is a perception. That's what the mind does. The mind perceives. I've been going further into the works of Osho. And if you don't know Osho, Osho was a guru. He died about 40, 42 years ago, I'm guessing. And some of his works, I'm reading The Secrets of Life, I think is what it's called. It's 1,300 pages, and I'm only maybe 68 pages into the book. But you can't go fast because he's asking you to think really, 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 really deep. And he talks about the fact that what happens when you peel the layers of persona away from yourself. And you keep peeling away this personality trait, that personality trait, that personality trait. If you are able to do that, what you would have left over is nothing and everything. And in either of those situations, there would be zero experience. Because in nothing, what do you compare nothing to? You can't have experience. There's no contrast there. And if it's everything, what do you compare everything to? If you compare it to everything, there's no contrast. And that's really interesting. And that's what all the great teachers talk about. The pure state of who we are is a state of nothingness. The pure state of the deepest meditation is a state of nothingness. And in human form, we're going, I don't want to be there all the time. Why? Because I don't know why we came here. I don't know why we have a human body. But what I believe is that we're here to experience it. And that's why I'm here. I want to fully experience this life as much as I can. He says, the world encourages you to dream big at an early age. Then if you actually chase your dreams in life, you are the bad guy for actually doing it. I've been domesticated a billion different ways. Yes, you have, and it's not your fault. Think about this. From the age of 0 to 7, the age of 0 to 7, you're in theta state. That's a state of hypnosis. Whatever you are told, you blindly believe. You have no ability to discern, to take, to judge, to question, to see what might be there. So from age 0 to 7, everything that you were presented with, you just said yes. And then it just keeps building. And then depending how old you are, it gets built deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Here's the greatest thing you can do. The greatest thing you can do, question everything. And when you know it, question it again. There's always more knowledge. There's always a deeper understanding. There's always a deeper way of going into it. At least that's my experience. I don't want you to ever think that I have all the answers, that I know all the answers. I do not. I have insights, which are opinions based on my experience, based on the wisdom and knowledge that I have received up until this time. And my intention is to continue to receive more and more and more, which in turn will adjust my opinions. You notice how I don't want you to believe that I know the truth? Because whatever is true for me is not true for you because it's an opinion. You've got to find your own. And you know what? You have all the power within you to do that. You have been given everything you need to formulate the most magnificent you that you can. You have every ability to find balance in your life. And I'm going to tell you something. When you find the balance in your life, that's a pretty cool feeling. Can I describe that feeling? No. But when I know the balance, yeah. See, the balance is like the point between the inhale and the exhale of the breath. It's the point between this thought and that thought. It's that small. But that's nothingness. There's nothing there between those. On either side, what is it? It's the contrast. That's where we live in our ego mind, in our sensory mind, in our sensory body. We live in contrast. I believe that's not our truth. I believe that's our experience right here and right now. This is a topic that I talk about over and over and over again in classes, in counseling sessions, in talks that I do. And it's one that I don't think we'll ever exhaust, because we're constantly being challenged by illusions. Here was my illusion. I could be healthy all the time. And then about a year and a half ago, the universe gave me my my wake-up call. I got pneumonia. Why'd I get pneumonia? I'm healthy as hell. Then I broke a wrist, had to have surgery on my wrist. Then I broke my hip, had to have 2 surgeries on my hip. Universe said, hey, don't take your body for granted. Jasmine says, wait a second, let me go up a little bit. I don't want to miss anyone as I do this. Jordan says, I have to tell you, 14 years, doctor told me and my wife we were infertile. Shannon is pregnant with our 3rd child. All meditated, prayed for, manifested power by your teachings. Here's what I know, Jordan. Congrats. Here's what I was told. Could never have kids either. Adopted one. Then somehow my wife, that tramp, came home pregnant. Can you imagine? I'd ask the doctor who did it. But when you see my son, you'll know it must have been me, because there's a lot of similarity. I'm joking about that, of course. How do you balance with toxic people, like toxic parents? That's hard. That's the hardest I find. Well, yeah, Jasmine, it is. Here's what I learned. I limit my time with toxic people. I don't care if it's my dad. My dad was a very, very toxic people. I limited my time. And here's the other thing. I don't take anything he said personally. My brother was extremely toxic when he was alive. I talked to him, if I was lucky, once a year. I don't feel a need that I have to sacrifice my life for others. I don't feel that need. I don't feel that guilt that we're drilled in. I don't like feeling that guilt. And I don't think it's necessary to feel that guilt. I think we're here and we can choose. I love it. I see we've got some new people today. Hey, thanks, new people, for joining us. I love it. I love it. Here's the greatest thing you can do for me. Spread the word. If you haven't signed up for my YouTube channel, a lot of you are on my YouTube channel, but if you haven't subscribed, would you do me a favor, hit the subscribe button? That helps me get message out more and more people. So I try to keep these messages between 8 and 12 minutes. Why? Because I want you to come back, because I always got something more to say. So with that, I want you to know that when I say the word, I love you, I'm saying the word, I accept you as you are. That's what love means to me. Total acceptance with no judgment. Now, see, love doesn't mean I like you. I want you to know I don't know you, so I don't know if I like you. But I do love you because I accept you as you are. So if no one tells you that today, you can say, hey, I was listening to Reverend Lee this morning, and guess what? He said he loved me. And he said he loved me just the way I am. And you know what? That would be the truth. So go create a great day, everybody. Have a good one. Aloha.